go ahead and get started because we don't want to waste any time. So, welcome to Young. First, I'm going to introduce Joe Monroe, and I'll come back here in a minute, but I'm going to introduce the president of the local chapter of the National Black NBAA Association, Ms. Camille White, and she's going to do her thing, and we'll get started.
Good evening, everyone. So welcome to this evening's event. Once again, it's great to partner with Young Brands. It's been 3 years since we've been here. Again, my name is Camille White. I am the president of the National Black NBAA Association Kentucky chapter. And I'm just going to give us a little information about the chapter. Like I said, it's been 3 years since we've been here. So the National Black NBAA's mission is to lead in the creation of education, wealth building, and growth opportunities for Black and Brown leaders throughout their careers as students, entrepreneurs, and professionals. We have a network of over 70,000 members with 46 chapters across the nation. Our national partners include over 200 of the nation's Fortune 100 and 500 companies, giving our members access to career and networking opportunities, expanding the nation. We manifest our mission through our 5 pillars, which is leadership, professional development, financial literacy, education, and lifestyle. And I want to introduce our local leadership team. I have Aisha Neal. She is our VP of Leaders of Tomorrow. Tomorrow is our youth program, it's a business program, and so she is over that. I have Shalise Robinson, she's a VP of Operations. She's my right-hand person that keeps me in check. Other leaders include Ron Baker, who couldn't be here this evening, and then Shanda Hand, who was one of our past presidents. She actually got a job in Arizona, but she's still very engaged in the chapter. So once again, I want to welcome to everyone to the event tonight. If you have any questions about the association, please feel free to come to one of us. We're more than happy to give you some information about the chapter, about the National Association, and membership. Also, you can see from our table, there are QR codes. You can scan that, and that leads you right into our website, and that also has information as well. Once again, thank you and welcome.
All right, thank you. We are so happy to host this and have you all here. As you see today, we not only have individuals from that organization, but we have individuals from Young, and I appreciate those individuals coming out as well. I'm Joe Monroe. I'm Associate Manager with Talent Acquisition and Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging, and working with my partner, Arista Bowman. You met her when you help collaborate to bring this together. So we really appreciate having you here. Now, we do have a table set up because the talent acquisition crew is here. Okay. So we definitely want your cards and your resumes and anything, especially if you're looking for an opportunity, because Young is a great place to be. So definitely make sure that you grab my card before you leave. But I don't want to hold us up because we got to get to the good stuff, because we do have some great discussion for you. So I'm going to introduce our Young Corporate Director of Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging, Ms. Kay Morgan.
Wow. Good evening, everyone, and welcome again. Completely and thoroughly excited to have you here. Welcome to our living room. So make yourselves comfortable. Everybody have something to drink, get a little something to eat. Everybody needs to step out for a minute. We're good? Well, let's start the day. Or the evening in this case. Gentlemen, I'm going to ask you to join me on stage, and then we'll introduce who you are. Where did you come from?
Which one you want, man?
You know what?
All right, go ahead.
So this evening we have the great and opportunity to sit with 2 of our senior most team members, because we are a team and we are a family. So I will not introduce them. I will allow them to introduce themselves. So please tell us your name, your role, and give us an overview of what your actual responsibilities are.
Sure. Hey everybody, good to see you all. Good to be here in Louisville. And I said it right. Cool, okay, great. Good to be here in Louisville. And my name is James Tripp. I'm the Chief Equity Inclusion Belonging Officer. I'm based in Dallas. And I've been with the organization since before Christ. It's been some number of decades. I'm not even going to tell you. But my role today is really focused on making sure that we have representation of all people, especially underrepresented people of color, in our mid-level management up to our C-suite around the globe and internationally, more focused around women, with some of our goals being to achieve gender parity by 20. We're partners with an organization called Paradigm for Parity, which the goal is to have gender parity all the way up through our senior leadership by 2030. We're actually going to get there by 2025. So we're excited about that. And then we've got work to do on our underrepresented people of color, which we define as Hispanic, Latino, and African American in our organization. So that's what I'm focused on. And great to be here with you this evening. Look forward to sharing and answering any questions that you have.
Yep, good evening, everyone. Elias Oxendine. So I am the Chief Information Security Officer. Fancy way of saying cybersecurity. I'm a cyber guy, right? So I've been, unlike this brother here, I've only been here 2.5 years. Still trying to learn my way, but Young is a great place to be. Certainly have a good time while I'm here. And so my responsibilities primarily deal with understanding our cybersecurity capabilities, where we have risk, but more importantly, when you guys go out and buy those chicken tacos and pizza, right? You go to those loyalty clubs, use your credit cards and those things. My team makes sure that stays safe. And you're in the business showing that appreciation, right? So just a little bit of a role responsibility, but a lot. The team has a tendency to keep me up at night, keep me awake. That's why I have no hair right now. So it is what it is. That's perfectly fine. And so, but you think about the scope and the size of Young and what we're trying to do from a cyber standpoint. The bad guys are always out there and active, right? We see security breaches, data breaches all the time. And so I've been very fortunate in the short time I've been here to have a really good, strong team that's part of helping support me to make sure we keep everybody safe and we got it, right? So it's certainly, as James has shared, glad to be here with you this evening. Look forward to the conversation.
Thank you so much. Just a little housekeeping. We're going to do a little information, and then I am going to give you an opportunity to ask me questions right after. So as I listen to you both talk about what you do today, can I ask you just a little personal question? What did you want to be when you grew up?
Wow, okay. I wanted to be, first of all, I'm one of 8 kids. My father's in the military, was in the military, and I wanted to follow him into the military. So that was my goal in life, is to go serve the country. We bounced around the country and the world. Born in Texas, went to Arizona because the military is mean. They sent us to Alaska after that. From Alaska back to Texas, Texas to Turkey, Turkey to Nebraska, Nebraska to Dallas. So the only thing I've known is change and moving all the time, and I wanted to do that. I thought it was a great way to see the world. I also thought it was a great way to get to see and meet people who were different than me. And I wanted my kids, at the time, if I had to have the same experience. So I wanted to do that, and I didn't do that. I didn't do that. But the reason is, I literally left high school and was going active duty military. And I don't know if you believe it, but I just say from a personal perspective, I believe in God. And He works in amazing ways. It's not always on our time. And so I was going to go in the military right after high school, and went in, and I literally did my physical, and I had eczema at the time, and I washed a lot of dishes at Taco Bell where I was working, and so I had eczema and it was acting up, and so I wrote down that I had eczema, and they PDQ'd me, and I'm like, I don't know what PDQ is. And the flight surgeon said, you're permanently disqualified. I said, for what? he said, because you have eczema and in wartime you may give up your cohorts. I said, I don't get it. I mean, now at the time, they were offering people, if you got caught stealing, or caught drinking and driving, one of your options was to opt to go into the military. I signed up to go to the military. So anyway, I was crushed and I thought, okay, great. So I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do. And I thought, well, now what am I gonna do? So I started college as a clinical psych major. And, might as well go to college. So did that and went all in at Taco Bell. And now I'm sitting where I'm sitting. So had I gone active duty military as an enlisted guy, let's just say my house wouldn't look like it does today.
And that was a very true statement, brother. I picked up the mantle from you and went into the military, right? So, in terms as far as what I wanted to be, I wanted to be an astronaut. Right? So my father was Air Force, military police, right? So I was one of those bad kids growing up in school, right? I was small, I was skinny, right? So I just always had that Napoleon, that short man complex, right? Trying to prove myself, right? And it wasn't until the 6th grade, Miss Austin, back in the time, we probably gonna date myself a little bit. They would roll televisions in on the cart, right? If we were from the library, they roll them in. And I'm
both of us right now.
okay, all right, fair enough, we all did.
I don't know nothing about that.
And I remember just terrorizing the other kids in my class, right? The spitballs, everything just not paying attention. It wasn't until Miss Austin plugged that television in that we saw the very first space shuttle take off. I went from being a terror in that class to sitting my behind down, what the hell is going on here? They were showing pictures from the guys in space, zero gravity, and those kind of things. And so at that point in time, I was a CD student. My parents were divorced. My mom, she was always giving me, just great support of me, those kind of things. And so, whereas my father, he was the one who was push. You gotta get your grades up. Well, I was a CD student. By the time I got to middle school, I was a CD to all A's. I had a dream. So at 12 years old, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I charged the course off, and off I went. And so my degree was going to be business. That's what I went for. But in order to become an astronaut, the Navy has this thing called a swim qualification test. Right? So here comes my challenge. And this is the swim qual with full flight gear on, the helmet, the jumpsuit, and the boots. Oxidine, you gotta give me crazy. Let me show you. 3 strokes, 25 yards. Breast stroke, back stroke, side stroke. By the time we got to that side stroke, you got a guy standing by the pool. He's got this PVC pipe. It's called a light pole. And all he's doing is just tapping in the shoulder as you struggle. All you gotta do is grab the pole. Grab the pole. I'm 19 years old. I've been chasing this dream since I was 12. I ain't grabbed that damn pole. Right? But I will tell you, 3 good gulps of water, grab the pole, got out. Got permission. Got permission. Take it to Navy Intelligence. Navy Intelligence introduced some cybersecurity, and that's how I got to. But astronaut, physics, that was my dream. That was chasing.
So 2 dreams deferred, if you will. I mean, there's something to say about that. It wasn't in your destiny, clearly. But did you ever imagine that you would be in the C-suite? Was that ever an actual goal for you? Or did it just happen for you?
I would say for me, it happened. It never was a goal for mine, right? I think coming into the military, had leadership potential, could be able to connect with people and lead teams, right? But did I ever thought I would actually get into the C-suite? No. That didn't materialize probably, I started thinking about that probably like 5, 7 years ago. Because starting working in the 90s, if you saw the C-suite, there's nobody that looked like us, right? And so that impression I had of the C-suite was stiff, boring, those kind of things. So I thought, would I even fit, right? Would I even fit the mold? And so because I didn't see that, I didn't think I could fit into it. It wasn't an aspiration of mine. But certainly I think within the last 5 to 7 years, as I started to progress my professional career, things started to turn. I I started to realize, you know what, I can do that. And in fact, because I was that scrappy kid that wanted to break barriers all the time, I wanted to get in there, break those doors down, and open up the doors for others to follow behind me. So it just kind of happened for me. It wasn't something I set out to do.
Yeah, and it was never a goal for me. I didn't think it was possible. I mean, I was running restaurants. You know, restaurants don't end up in the C-suite. I was general manager and gonna make sure, now I was making good money. Because what people don't know is, in our business, especially today, you can run a restaurant, and if you run the right size restaurant with the right amount of sales, you end up over 6 figures, right? And people are like, I don't wanna run a restaurant. Well, what I would say is, when the economy's good, we're good. When the economy's bad, we're better. Think about that one, but no, I didn't think I could. I didn't think I would. I never thought I would make it out of the restaurants. I thought I would be running multiple restaurants and things of that nature, but then I transitioned to the HR side of the business, and then continued to grow in the business and do different things. And like as I mentioned, I've been with this for a long time, but I've had like 6, 7 different careers. And so as the company kept pouring into me, my dreams kept getting bigger. And I'm like, okay, and we have a African-American gentleman, his name is Shaquan Lewis, is the CEO at Pizza Hut US right now. And he said something to me and I didn't. And I think that's what was going on with me, but I said, man, what do you want to do? You've been with us for a few years and was an attorney, and he said, James, you guys keep moving me in this organization. No one's told me I can't be the CEO. No, right? And I'm like, and I didn't say those words, I wasn't thinking those words, but as my career continued on, I was thinking, I keep messing around and moving up. And no one stopped me from doing anything. In fact, they keep pouring into me and giving me opportunities. To be real honest with you, some I should have never had the opportunity to do. But the company kept pouring in, and next thing you know, just keep growing and learning and growing and doing and learning and doing jobs before you had them. And next thing you know, here I am.
Yeah, I have to take a minute on that one. Both incredibly inspiring, and both stories incredibly thought-provoking. But as we know, in many of our corporate environments, to your point, Elias, we don't see us in levels, not even enough to aspire to want to be that. And in fact, in many of our organizations, we are not seen in some places. So help me understand or help share with us what you had to do to be seen, to be visible, for someone to even consider that you had the value to pour into, to put you on the track and the trajectory that you're on.
So how we doing on mic? You guys hear me? The mic is in. Okay, certainly, excellent question. For me, it really came down to what we've seen was taking the hard jobs, right? Take the jobs that no one else wants, right? So for me, I'm the person that if there's a fire, everybody else runs away, I run to it. Because when you go to face something that everyone is not embracing, there's nothing but growth and upside from that. And so what happens is, by taking those hard jobs in the military that no one else wants to take, I start to get a reputation. And a reputation of what it is that Elias runs to the tough jobs. And every time he runs into them, puts something in front of him, think he can't do it, doggone it, he doesn't. From that, I got that street credibility, it works. That same mindset has materialized in corporate America as well. So you think about cyber. I'm a black man in cybersecurity. You don't see black folks in cybersecurity, right? They think we can't do cybersecurity. And so for me, that's a challenge. I've been embracing the challenge my whole life. And so I've taken those roles that others did not want to do, and I've been successful at it. So coming into Young in this capacity, so when Young gave me that appointment to be the Chief Information Security Officer in January, my wife didn't want me to take a role. Because she knew what that meant, and she knew that we had the black tax that was out there, right? And she knew how I'm wired. I would literally run myself to the ground to be successful. Because I am committed to that. I cannot let it falter on my own. So, but taking the tough jobs no one else wants to do, and being good at getting the work done, bringing people along, but being successful in those roles. But don't be afraid of tough jobs. There's nothing but growth from that. Trust me, believe that.
Yeah, I don't know if I call it luck, but, again, somebody works in mysterious ways. But I had, I did jobs before I got them, which a lot of times folks are like, so why? I'm not doing that, they ain't paying me for that. Okay, then stay where you're at. Stay where you're at. I would do the job, there was things that needed to be done, I saw gaps and I filled the gap. That's what I did. I saw the gap, I filled it. And as a result of that, I started to get seen in places that people didn't know I had the skills for it until I did the job before I got it. So then when the job came open, I was a natural, and in some cases, the job was created because of what we did. So an example of that is we were hiring MBAs when I was running restaurants to run restaurants. We were part of PepsiCo. Well, a lot of the MBAs didn't want to necessarily be at Taco Bell. What they wanted to be as a part of Pepsi and Freedom, but they thought Taco Bell was the way in. What they figured out quickly was running restaurants is hard work, right? So I would train these folks, and then they went this way, so I got frustrated. So I'm like, okay, look, I'm gonna continue to train them, but I'm actually gonna go recruit folks who actually want to be in the restaurant industry. And so I started doing that. So while we had some MBAs, I was bringing in some other folks as well. Turns out that the other folks were staying longer. And folks were like, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm just finding some folks. If I'm gonna put my time, energy, and effort into training them, I wanna find folks that will stay. And so I just started doing that. So that the company says, hey, would you wanna do that full time? Sure. So took me out of the restaurants, put me into talent acquisition, and I went and recruited managers for the central part of the country. Colorado up to Utah, over to East St. Louis, Illinois, down to Oklahoma City. That was my world. And I traveled around in there and recruited managers for those different cities where we had restaurants. And I did that for a couple of years, 3 years. And they said, okay, great, it's time to go back to operations. I said, but I actually like it over here. And they said, well, we don't really keep operators on the HR side because my boss at the time was an individual who, had gone to some of the best schools, and it was got his industrial HR degree from one of the best schools and all those kinds of things, and he didn't see the value. But I had a chief people officer see me when he came and visited my restaurants and where I was recruiting and the talent that I was bringing in. He said, you were supposed to go back to the restaurants, but you're doing well over here. I said, yep, I love it over here and I'd love to do more. And so he became my sponsor. But it was because of what I did when it wasn't my job that got me into places and spaces to be seen by this guy who was 4 levels above my boss. And he tapped me and said, okay, great, so here's what I want you to do. And I went and did it. And so that's how I got to be seen. But it was seeing a gap and filling it, doing the job before you got it, not expecting to be paid for it. And some people say, you're a fool, because you're out here training managers and going to recruiting managers. They're not paying you for that. They didn't pay for that day. But it's paid dividends now. Yeah.
Absolutely. So you could not have set that up any better for me. Let's talk coach, mentor, sponsor, and the difference between the three. So my understanding of a coach, very likely, is someone tells you how to do it. A mentor looks and oversees as you do it. But that sponsor, That's the one who's gonna tell everyone else that you can do it. Can you talk about how a coach, mentor, and or sponsor helped you in your career journey?
Absolutely. From a coach perspective, wow. From a coach perspective, I worked for a gentleman who, when I was running restaurants, by rights, he should have fired me a long time ago, to be honest with you. But he saw something in me, and he coached me hard, up to and including, when I went to one of my first meetings when I was running restaurants, as a restaurant general manager, I showed up in what I thought was business attire. And I walked in the door and he said, this is the last time I want to see you show up at a business meeting in club attire. I said, I thought this was appropriate. He said, well, clearly you don't understand what business attire is. So what he did was, I'm going to take you and show you. And so he took me and showed me what business attire was. I never showed up to another meeting, but I was going to the club. So he coached me. By the way, just to date myself, I showed up in a tweed suit. So, but I was going to do some business though. So he coached me though, and he coached me and he taught me what to do. From a mentorship perspective, I had an individual that was, he was not my coach, but he was a district manager in another district. And he said, hey, look, what do you want to do? I said, I want to go as far as I can. I don't even know what that is, but I want to go as far as I can. And he said, okay, great, I'm going to teach you about the business. And he taught me, you know, I run a restaurant, I was understanding the P&L from a restaurant perspective, but how do you do that from a district perspective so I could understand, you know, where I should be spending my time if I'm running multiple restaurants, how to look at food costs and labor and you know, how to pull those dollars down to the bottom line, all that kind of stuff. So he taught me that while he was doing his job. My sponsor was that guy who said, hey, look, I think you're capable of more. And he kind of anointed me. And because I had my immediate coach who said, we don't take operators and make them HR people, that's not what we do here. But that chief people officer said, I don't care what you said, here's what I want him to do. And he put me in places and spaces that gave me exposure to things that I otherwise would not have had. And I actually didn't really know how much he was sponsoring me until I literally went from being a talent acquisition person into an associate HR generalist job. Because I did have a background experience in HR in terms of true HR business partner kind of work. So this guy said, he basically said he's gonna bet on me. And he bet on me, I got in this job, I'm like, I hope they don't find out. I don't know anything, I know how to spell HR, but I don't know what to do. And, but he bet on me. And that sponsorship led to, again, where I'm at today, in that I would have never been able to stay on the HR side had he not sponsored me, because my coach did not want me to go any further. So it's it's a thing. Sometimes you know who your sponsor is, and it's very clear. Other times you don't know, but they're there in the room when you're not.
Yeah, I think, you know, to the point about a coach and the mentor and the sponsor, there are folks that I remember to this day who never buried their name. So for me at GE Appliances, I had a coach by the name of Bill Long. And so I had gotten into the company, I was on the fast track, progressing, getting promoted very quickly. At some point in time, I plateaued. Things kind of, slowed down for me. And every time we had the end of the year performance evaluation, I would always ask that coach, okay, what do I need to do to become an executive here at GE? At that point in time, as soon as I said that, what I need to do to become an executive, I would sit back in my chair because I know I'm gonna get some soft, fluffy stuff. You gotta work on presence, you gotta work on this, you gotta work on all these things. You got the same lip service you always got. In the case with Bill Nall, before I could even sit back in my chair, I said, do you think I'll make executive here at GE? And as I proceeded to fall back, he said no. Without hesitation, and I sat back in my chair, I sat for a minute, I was like, what did he just say? And so I start moving in my chair. And then he says, I can tell by your response, does that bother you? I'm like, oh, hell no, we gotta move furniture in this office now, right? Because he's approaching me this way and it's getting me, upset and these things, right? But for the same amount of time my blood pressure went up, something said, stop. Wait a minute. You've got an opportunity here for someone to give you some honest feedback. So I got myself together, brought my pressure down. I said, thank you. You are the first person to give me a piece of honest feedback. Can you tell me why? And at the calibration level, they already got 3 things that they're talking about you already. He rattled them off. You got to do this, 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 and this. Can you help me fix it? Absolutely. And I got my career back on track. So that's my coach. In terms of a mentor, Chet Guest at GE. I'm highly introverted. Chet was telling me, you would never become an executive here because you can't open your mouth, right? Chet called me Venus flytrap. I'm dating myself into, right? So Chet's like, you're very good at attracting people in, but when they get too close, you close up. You don't let them in, right? He took to my office. He said, look at your office. It's very Spartan-like in here. There's no pictures, there's no color, no light. I can't tell if you're married, single, I don't know what you are, right? And so he gave me some feedback, put some pictures in there, engage people. So from a mentoring standpoint, he helped me get out of my comfort zone and get into a space I'd never been before that also cemented my career, took it forward. My sponsor, Raymond Burse, head counselor at GE Appliance there. Raymond was hard on me as a black man to black man. I would talk to my mother every Sunday. I was always complaining about Raymond. Raymond Burse, right? And my mom was like, he's hard on you because he sees potential in you. And he's doing some things for you behind closed doors you don't know about. And so she's like, do me a favor. Take him out to lunch one day and see what happens. Invite him out for lunch. He comes out and he says, well, young man, what took you so long? Snap. Right? And so, but what I didn't realize, Raymond was moving mountains behind closed doors I had not seen. Right? And even when I took the job at Brown Foreman, he had more confidence and faith in me than I had of myself at that time. Right? And so, and he's still my rock to this day. I still meet with him quarterly, have lunch. And so, but those 3 things absolutely very key in being toward our environment today.
That's awesome. So a wise man earlier today said,
You read my mind.
I know, I'm right there with you. We're always there. We are always there. That your name reaches rooms that your feet have not entered in yet.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you mentioned
Yes, sir.
something that's also very important, which most of us don't understand, and that is the calibration process. When people who you may or may not know, at least one of them you should, talk about your trajectory in the organization, where they see you, how they value you, whether or not you're going to move to the next place. How can we set ourselves up in such a way that we have people who are speaking on our behalf, whether they're officially a sponsor or not, that they can say, I know him, her. I know they can do it. I've worked with them on. I believe that they have the potential to do. How do we set ourselves up, particularly with people we don't even have direct report to be able to have someone speak that positively for us and advocate for us?
I'll apologize up front to my young peeps, but it's my belief. A lot of times we're focused on the science of what we do. We're focused on, did I do a great job on the project? We're focused on, what do the numbers say? The results themselves, did I get good results? Many of us may have gotten good results and wonder why we're not moving. because it's not necessarily, the science isn't the only thing. The outcome isn't the only thing. It's the art that is a differentiator. Authentic relationships that lead to trust. People don't sponsor who they don't know and who they don't trust. And the challenge for us many times is we don't have an authentic relationship that has led to trust with the folks who are the decision makers. So we have to engage, network, connect with in our organization. We call them STA, short-term assignment, where you can do some work in a different area than your expertise and learn about those things. We just had one young lady do a short-term assignment on my team. She was from tech and digital and tech, and she said, James, I just want to see, I have a passion for what you all do and want to get over here. She did it for about 8 months, and what she figured out was she missed what she was doing on the tech side, but she built authentic relationships that lead to trust, and she went back over to the tech side, and it's going to be awesome. But now, I'm in her corner. And so when her name comes up, and her feet haven't been in that room yet, I'm going to be lobbying for her. And so she came and built an authentic relationship that led to trust. Now I know that if I put my name on her, she will not let me down. There's a way that folks build art, generally speaking, today, that people are like, well, what does it take? What do you got to do? I mean, you got to go do lunch with people? No, the majority of folks, art takes place on the golf course. When folks say business takes place on the golf course, the outcome of the business takes place on the golf course. But what's happening to cause the business outcome to take place is on the golf course, they're building an authentic relationship that leads to trust. They get to know each other, learn each other. Hey, we did this. Hey man, you got that extra stroke on your ball, but I saw it. But you counted it as well. I trust you. Right? There's a lot that goes on the golf course, but it's not really about golf. It's about building a relationship.
But James, they're not inviting me to play golf.
No.
Exactly. They're not inviting you to play golf. What I'm saying is, this is chess, not checkers. So how do you find a way to build an authentic relationship that leads to trust in the organization? You invite somebody to lunch.
Yep.
And they're like, so, well, I don't know you, and I don't know what you do. No, you know what? I don't know you either, but I do love what you do in this organization, and I do have some interest in potentially doing that. So could you give me some insight into what you do? I'll buy. I just want to get to know you and have you have an opportunity to know me. And then you start that relationship. There's initiative. The initiative in and of itself gets people to lean in. And then you go start to get to know each other. And there's no boss-subordinate relationship, so there's nothing at stake but just getting to know you. But it's about building the art. And you can do it, to your point, without playing golf. But you just have to outwit, outsmart, outplay it.
So very well put, brother. So let me give you a pound on that real quick, right? So because there is a motivational speaker by the name of Walter Bond. Walter Bond tells you there are 3 things to be successful with any type of job profession you want to do. If you get on a couple of them. 1, do they know you? Do they like you? Do they trust you? Right? And so it's very easy to get to know someone, right? They can know you but not even like you, right? And so, but you get to that second point, do they like you? But the tough one is that trust piece you just spoke of, right? And so certainly you can go out and build those relationships and make those connections. But the trust piece is how do you consistently show up? Meaning, can I always count on you to be on time when I need you here? Can I always count on you to cross those T's and dot those I's on that project and those research and those kind of things, right? So it comes down to trust is that biggest piece, brother. So I don't even have to belabor that point too long. You hit it, spot on, but definitely those 3 things is what I operate against, and to make sure that how I show up, how do people see me, how to perceive me, right? And so that has, I think, is definitely, brother, is contributed to how you got to where you are, and then even for me to get that appointment to come into this role this year, That was a whole lot of trust I was nervous about. I didn't know if they were gonna give me that nod or not. But Young gave me that opportunity, right? So they trusted me.
Yeah, can I just go back, because this notion of not being able to, they don't take us to golf. One of the things that we do to try to solve for that is we do reverse mentorships. So, where's Joe? Where you at? Joe, I mean, I know this is supposed to be my time, but you're about as big as VIP as I am. I mean, come on. Can you turn on your mic? He did a reverse mentorship. We set this guy up with the chief legal and franchise officer, and Joe's job was to make sure that the chief legal and franchise officer understand what Joe's experience is as an African-American male in this organization. The chief legal and franchise officer, his job was to simply get to know Joe. So you want to speak to him then?
It was a great experience. I mean, it was natural. Once we met and we talked and got to know each other, all of our meetings was just like a natural conversation. I mean, even now, we still meet, even though the time period that we said we were going to mentor each other is over. We still meet on a regular basis, and it was just like a natural conversation. And I think that happened because he genuinely wanted to know, what it was like. Because when you get to a certain level in the space of there, it's like you don't know what's really going on down on the front line and things like that. But that was one of the first things he always talked about, was like, what's really happening? What's going on at the water cooler? What are people seeing? What do they think about us? How are we doing? He always wanted to know our perspective of those things. But when we genuinely have, a friendship as well as, a mentorship, and it was because of that situation, putting it in that right situation. And so that's one way that, we build some trust with each other.
Thank you, babe. I mean, just to, to finish the story, Joe was not in the role that he's in today when he started in the reverse mentorship. After he had been in the reverse mentorship for a while, I say a while, by the way, the reverse mentorship was supposed to last 6 months. I can't get them apart now. But a number of months in to the reverse mentorship, Scott became his sponsor. So we went from art to arts. Authentic relationship that leads to trust, that led to sponsorship. And now Joe was on the Pizza Hut help desk, leading some work over there. Now he's in talent acquisition on the doing some EIB work, right? Because we call it reverse mentorship. We're just trying to build art. That's all we're doing. That's literally all we're doing. And we're making it easy, and it's not so cumbersome, because that senior leader who may or may not know how to engage people who are different than them took off the weight off his shoulders and said, all you need to do is get to know Joe. You don't need to impart any knowledge. You don't need to bring anything to it. You just get to know Joe. Now, the reality of it is, Scott started sharing and mentoring Joe the other way, but that naturally happened. It wasn't because we set it up that way. Because we took all the weight off of Scott and told him all he had to do was get to know Joe, and there was no direct line of leadership. This guy's over in legal. Joe's over in Pizza Hut. There wasn't anything else to do but to get to know him. So it wasn't golf, but it was a different way to get there. Outwit, outsmart, outplay.
All right, we'll take a natural pause. I'm interested. Anybody have any questions? We heard so much stuff. I can only imagine what might be going through your mind. Please, by all means.
Hey, how's it going? My name's Devin. I was wondering, what was your most proudest day at Yum so far?
Today is your birthday.
Today's a good day. Today's a great day. Today's a great day. And Kay says that because where are our mid-rise people? Mid-rise team, you want to stand up? Mid-rise? There you go. So our mid-rise folks we brought together in an effort to make sure we put our money where our mouth is and we invest in our underrepresented communities, and to develop our people of color. We brought together about 55, 60 of our underrepresented communities. Here in Louisville, we stayed down at the Distill. Some of you folks kept me out way too late last night. Not bitter, just saying. But we brought these folks together to create community, to develop, and to let folks know that we are going to invest in you. And that you as underrepresented people of color, since 2020, people have said all kinds of things. We're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. The question is, who's actually doing it? And so this week, we actually did it, and we did it earlier this year with director level and above in DC. And so we're actually doing the work around it. But my personal proudest moment, I guess, number one, when okay, y'all gonna sound like, you're gonna be like, James, that's not right. But it's an indicator of where you're at, and what, as a black man, coming up in the restaurants, I knew I had made it, and I was proud as all get out. When we talk about trust, when I got the keys to the corporate jet. When I got the key to the corporate jet. What I mean by that is I was running all of our field HR, employee relations, and all that kind of stuff for Taco Bell. And it was myself, we were running the country, myself and my VP of Ops. And so he was the guy, and we were gonna take the team off on these blind visits. Well, something happened with the VP of Ops, and he couldn't make it. He reaches out, he says, James, I can't make it. Can you take the team around the country? I said, we're on the jet. He said, I know. He says, and I trust you to take the team around the country. You've done it, you know what we do. Can you take the team around the country? In order to get the keys to the jet, you gotta talk to the CEO, has to approve that. It was a proud moment when the trust was there, enough that not everybody gets the keys to, no, let me say it differently. Not anybody gets the keys to the jet. When I got the keys to the jet, what it said was, the company trusts me that much that they were gonna allow me to take our operators around the country and do what they do. And when I say the keys to the jet, James, what time would you like wheels up and wheels down in whatever city? This is what time we need to take off. That's when we'll go. All right, James, what food would you like on the jet? Good question. Right? 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 And so literally, you decide when it takes off, when it lands, where it goes, what's on it. We don't get to do that very often. But let me say it differently. How many of y'all have had the keys to the corporate jet? Yeah. So there you go. So that was one of my proudest moments. But it was a culmination of a lot of hard work and doing things when it wasn't sexy, working when I thought nobody was looking, doing jobs before I got the job, and it netted me out in this place, in this space, in this time, when they said, hey, look, we called the CEO, he said you could take the jet.
Nice. If I could add to that, so January 18th this year, so with the appointment to CISO, and so it's not what directly happened at Young, but it's the impact that it had on my relationship with my father. And so I've shared this before, I hope it gets easier telling the story. And so with my father being a military guy, my father has never called me son. My father always calls me the Oxendine when everything is cool, but then he calls me Mr. Oxendine when he's pissed. Right? So I talk to my father every Sunday. The conversation is, Oxendine, how you doing? Right? So that's kind of our standard protocol, right? Because we're men, we don't show a lot of emotion, right? So Oxendine. And so when I got the appointment for the CISO role, I took that formal communication and I sent that over to my father via email. Now, this is on a Tuesday, it's Tuesday or it's a Wednesday. I don't talk to my father until Saturday or Sunday. Within 15 minutes of him getting that email, my phone rings. I look at it, so I guess Oxygen. I'm the fourth, so my dad's the third, right? So I'm like, okay, it's my old man calling. It's not Sunday. Why is he calling me? So I pick the phone up like I always do. I put it on speaker. Hey, Pop, what's going on? Silence, right? I'm just like, okay, Pop, what's going on? My father's in tears. And the words you try to get as kids, you always want that approval of your parents, right? In everything that you do. So mind you, I've been driven, racially challenged my whole life. Trying my mom was easy. She's always like, yep, baby, I got you. Mom, no shortage of love, mom's got you. Your father, that's a whole different story. So the fact when he said son, and he's crying, and I'm feeling kind of some kind of way. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is what happened up at the Legacy, right?
Yes.
When I had to share this, I about broke down there. I'm like, I'm not gonna break down here. But the fact when I had him on speaker, and then he's in tears, and he's trembling to tell me how proud he is of me. My stepmother's in the background, she's crying. My wife, she starts breaking down, like, what the hell's wrong with y'all right now? Toughen up, right? And so, but the fact that he spoke that, he said, son, I'm just so proud and elated for you, what you've done. All he wanted me to do is take that Oxendine name and do something with it. Right? You are an Oxendine. And just always seeking to get that approval. So here it is, 51 years. I finally got that acceptance approval from my dad. January 18th this year.
There's something in the room. I got.
Got a little better at telling that, so just got to push through it.
You did well, you did well. Any other questions?
So as C-suite executives, what qualities or values are you looking at in some of the stars in the company now that you can see a path forward for them, that one day to help them lead them to the C-suite?
First and foremost, tenacity. We're gonna run up against stuff. We're gonna run up against stuff that folks don't even know we run up against. You have to have the tenacity. The other thing you have to have is you have to have flexibility. Business is changing at the speed of light, up to and including technology-wise. So how are we? Who can? I don't need them to be great at it today, but need to be able to see that intellectual curiosity and the ability for folks to not get stuck in what we've always done. Because what we've always done, not only does it not work anymore, we talk about here in the organization, we talk about how do we be relevant, easy, and distinctive. And that applies across every function that we have. And so you have to have that ability to do that. And then finally, for me at least, it's servant leadership. Servant leadership. Because once you get to a leadership role, newsflash, it ain't about you, right? And second newsflash, you're not the leader if nobody's following.
Well.
So that's what I think.
For me, certainly someone's got the proper mindset, right? There's a quote by Shakespeare that says, nothing is good or bad, it's thinking that makes it so. And so for me, in these positions, what I'm looking for in talent is someone who's got that proper mindset, right? There's bad news all around, right? Cyberspace we get into. So if I got someone the first time I hear some bad news, they break down, hands go up, you know what? Oh, we're screwed. You're like, you know what? I don't want that person on my team. Now, I'll give you 1 or 2 passes, right? First time's an accident, second time's a problem, third time's a trend. I don't need you on my team, right? But I gotta find someone who's got that proper mindset that can embrace those difficult times and challenges, but be willing to work through it and push through it. But also too, I like someone who's courageous, right? So once again, take those hard assignments, take those jobs that nobody else wants, right? Have that mental fortitude and toughness to see it through, because you'll be surprised, right? And there's so much growth that comes from that. So but definitely mindset, you gotta have a lot of courage to get through. And that's something I look for because cyber's tough. I'm telling people no all the time. I'm telling senior executives, no, you can't do that, right? And you gotta stand firm. But wait a minute, I'm so-and-so. I know that, I respect that. The answer still is no, right? So we gotta have courage.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you guys for being here. Very powerful stories. My name is Sam Jones. It's a pleasure. Actually, you kind of already touched on my question, but I was hoping if you would expound on the fact that I think both of you had a variety of different positions before you got to the position you're in right now. So I was curious as to, even though you have differences and inconsistent paths, so to speak, what was the consistent skill set or characteristic that you believe made you the most unique or best person for the position you have right now? What was it that you consistently learned over a variety of different positions that helped you rise to the position you're in right now?
Nice, that's why you laugh, so that must mean it's top of mind.
No, it is, right? So I'm just trying to figure out how to present it or how it comes across, right? So
Just say it, let's see.
I have a slave mindset, okay? And what I mean by that is, so I follow motivational speakers always, all the time, right? So Dr. Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher, right? He will tell you that, we deal in adversities, everything all the time. But when you think about our ancestors, what they went through, that was their lifestyle. They didn't have a choice of when they got up, when they went to bed, when they went down, when they ate, and these kind of things. But you look at, here it is now in 2022, we determine when we get up, when we want to go to work, when work ends, when I want to spend time with my family, and these things. So who am I in whatever adversity I'm facing at some point in time in my life to be like, you know what, enough's enough, I can't handle it. When we've got our ancestors, that was their life, right? So, and here we are living in Kush, plush in 2022. I'll be damned if I sit there and allow me to sit there, not reward and respect the people that paid the way for this thing. So that black tax we talk about, that's real. That is real. And so that's why I said, I laughed. I said, oh, for me, it's a slave mentality, right? That's just kind of how I look at it, how I operate.
Wow.
Sorry.
No, wait, you just shared
Change
that.
my
I'm
whole
just,
perspective on things
wow,
now.
right? I'm like,
I know, I'm slacking.
Don't wake up early in the morning.
Oh, please don't, please don't. There you go.
I think mine was, I've always prided myself on being a chameleon, just doing, things that people didn't think I could, things that in some cases I didn't know how to do, but I went and figured it out. But always doing it in a way that I like to have fun. I'm always having fun. Why that matters, I try to keep things light all the time, or at least as much as I can. Now, trust me, as an HR professional, if I need to take an action, I'm going to take that action, and I will be absolutely serious about it and all those. But generally speaking, I like to do things and have fun, but I like to do different things, and I like to, what I've done throughout my career, as I mentioned before, I see the gap and I fill it, and I do it with positive energy, and I do it in a way that people around me, hopefully, I hope, feel heard, valued, and understood. And what it does is it creates this, and by the way, I didn't know I was doing this early on in my career, but it's just how I'm wired. What it does is when you think about sponsorship, it starts to create sponsorship in all kinds of places that you may not think are the norm. In this other part of sponsorship, sometimes sponsorship doesn't always have to come from these people. If there's enough positive noise around you and your brand is such, people are like, everywhere I go, I'm hearing your name. Everywhere I go, I hear your name. Next thing you know, they're like, well, something must be going on with this guy. And then they start to pay attention. And so I just try to be a decent human being and fill gaps when I see them, did jobs before I had them. I won't say I never complained, but I will say that I, like you, sir, was like, the folks before us didn't have the opportunities that we have. And so I don't see myself as having the right to not do what I need to do to pave the way for others. To whom much is given, right? And especially when you get to the C-suite and the C-seat, trust me when I say people are watching. So show up and show out in the wrong way. And you know who gets impacted? Him. I got mine. He gets impacted. That's not right.
We'll take 2 more questions.
I know you spoke earlier about the books you read, but I guess my question is like any book recommendations that you all have?
I'm sorry.
Book recommendations?
Which one you want, man? There are many. I mean, I live on Audible. I don't read books. Well, I listen on Audible, but I buy the book anyway, and then I go back and dog mark it and highlight it. Right. And so Peter Drucker has a really good book out, right, on business called The Effective Executive, right? So by the time I want to get to the executive ranks, my mindset changed a little bit. I really want to learn what are some of those best practices that are out there to help with that, right? So Peter Drucker, The Effective Executive is one. I'm also big on military leadership books, right? There's a fellow by the name of Jocko Willink, prior Navy SEAL. He's got a book out, and the title escapes me right now, but he's got like 4 or 5 of them. You know which one of them?
It's probably Extreme Ownership.
Yep, bingo.
Yeah.
There's Extreme Ownership, and there's another leadership book that he has out there, right? So, but those are just 2 that I have, that come top of mind as you ask that question, right? But see me after, there's got a lot more. I can pull up Audible and give them a lot to you right now. Colin Powell's got another good one as well too, right? And just what he shares in his book and his experience. So,
I'm gonna date myself, but I think it's relevant. Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. Yep, Dennis Kimbrough, right? Think and Grow Rich. Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. Because when we think about, I was blessed. I didn't start working and say, I want to be in the C-suite. I also, my parents, mom and dad, I'm one of 8 kids, and he's an enlisted guy. There wasn't any money to think about, right? So mom and dad didn't have the skills or the knowledge to guide me financially as to how I should think and dream and scheme about money. So I say that to say, Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice, because that's a gap for us. We haven't had a legacy wealth, at least most of us, many of us, I didn't have legacy wealth to like, hey, look, so here's what you do with money, here's how you do it, and all those kinds of things. So if you read the book and it starts to help you think about not only what you want to achieve, but how you go about achieving it, then you start to pick up some knowledge. Then it guides you to different places and spaces where you start to then really think about, what am I doing? What am I doing with my money? How do I create legacy wealth for my family? Wait a minute, let's start differently. How do I make sure and understand the value of an excellent credit rating? Because when you do understand the value of that credit rating, it's like the rich get richer. Now, I got an excellent credit rating. People throw money at you when you have a great credit rating, and they give it to you at the lowest rates. But this death spiral of, if you don't have a great credit rating, what happens? You get charged more money. This makes no sense. But if you use the S word and talk about, no, I need to settle down. I need to settle down. I say that because when we think about systems or systemic, that's a method and a way, not just for people of color, but anybody who has a bad credit rating, you get charged more. So the folks who don't have money get charged more money, which then keeps folks in places and spaces, so they never get out. So anyway, I'll stop droning on, but Think and Grow Rich, a Black choice, Dennis Kimbrough, is one, and then growth mindset is another.
And our next event will be financial advice. As we move forward.
How's it going? My name is Eric Duncan. I'm an accountant, but my passion is in psychology. So my question is how do you keep a therapeutic mindset? Mr. O, you had said you have like a slave mindset per se.
Yep.
And Mr. James, you had said it's not about you, but yet if stuff happens, they're coming to you as far as things that goes on. So my question is how do you stay sane?
Great.
Yep, so this is that's interesting, right? So, I say this carefully because I don't want nobody coming and trying to take me up on the service. So, but for me, cleaning the house is therapeutic for me, right? So I do that first and foremost, right? So when I get stressed out, I clean. So my wife loves when I come home stressed out. Got it, the bathroom, the kitchen, all those things, right? So that works for me. But also to your point, how to maintain, to be sane. And so I'm a gym rat. Right, I think from my military days and everything, just growing up, I just always been a physical person, right? So for me, I wake up early in the morning. Once again, I still have a chip on my shoulder. Back when I was early, I still have a chip on my shoulder. I'm still trying to get it. I'm still trying to prove something. So in order to make sure when I show up to work, I don't hurt anybody, I go to the gym. The gym takes that notch down, right, a little bit. And trust me, my team can say, you didn't go to the gym, did you? Nope. They were like, yeah, stay away from him. And so, but no, what the gym kind of works out for me, right? So a lot of times I'm in the gym working out. Somebody says, hey, you look good. I'm like, hey, that's Body by Young. That's Body by Foreman, right? You know, and so, but that's kind of what helps me get it out. But also, to the mental aspect of this, by going to the gym and doing those things, it gives you that mental clarity, and you take whatever personal issues you had with a problem, and now you approach it from completely neutral. So, cleaning the house and gotta stay in the gym, man.
Yeah, I do a couple of things. I'm a drummer by training, so I have a music room in my house, and so that's where I go. I go in the music room and I play and I play and I play. And because of drums, you can beat them to death. And you know, get some things out. The other thing I do is I run. And I run, and no, I don't run in my neighborhood. Why? Because I don't want to see nobody. I don't want to talk to nobody. I go to the soccer field where there's nobody at, and I go run around the soccer field. You know, I just try to just like the gym. When I'm running, it clears my mind. You get the blood flowing. It calms me down, and I also do some of my best thinking when I'm running. It's the weirdest thing. But yeah, I play drums. Now, one of the things that we've talked a lot about here at Young over the past couple of years, and from the seat that I sit in, has been very helpful. I'm not ashamed to say that we have something called Employee Assistance Program. And what you can do is we have access to counselors and counseling. As people of color, you know, it's not cool. You don't tell nobody your business, right? The reality of it is it's not a weakness, it's a strength. If we want to show up as our best, and I have to show up as my best, not for some people, but for all people every day. People are counting on me. I get it, I know it, I signed up for it. People are coming to look for on folks' worst days when they're in their worst situations. What they need from me is they need strength, they need guidance, they need coaching, and most importantly, they need empathy. And you can't give what you don't have. There is a wise man in this room who said, you can't fill, if your cup's not empty, if your cup's not full, you can't fill another cup. I said it wrong, but he'll get it. Olu's like, dude, will you please stop butchering my stuff? And if y'all haven't met Olu, please make sure you say hello to Olu before you leave. He spoke to our midrise group today and was just phenomenal. And I took notes. I clearly don't have them, otherwise I would have got that right. But the point is, you have to be right to help others. And I work hard to do that because one of the things about underrepresented communities, depending upon what community you come from, I have to be able to help you. I don't want to say this. Sometimes when we ask for coaching and guidance and feedback, people base that coaching and guidance and feedback based upon who they are, not who you are. I need to make sure that I'm clear, that I'm crisp, that I understand who I'm coaching. If I'm coaching a black male, it's one thing. If I'm coaching a black female, it's something different. If I'm coaching someone who's from the Asian community, that's different. Hispanic, Latino, that's different. And so I have to be my best. So, I go run it out. I go play it out. Sometimes, my fuse is short too. But that usually happens when I haven't done my work and haven't had my release. I like to play guitar as well. I'll go work on a song that I've been working on for a long time, but it makes it easy for me. And then sometimes I'll watch some of the most amazing TV shows. I watch things like The Bachelor in Paradise. In Alaska, The Last Frontier. Ice Road Truckers. Somebody said yes. Somebody got yes. Come with me now. So yeah, stuff that I don't have to think about anything. They're trying to catch fish. Ooh, let's check it out. So anyway, but those are those are just ways I deal.
So let's fast forward a little bit, and we're gonna take this opportunity to wrap up, and both will be available once we're off the stage. Fast forward to X number of years in the future. You are ready to retire, and we're having a great roast for both of you. What is your legacy statement? What do you want people to be able to say about you?
30-second elevator speech.
I'm not ready to retire. I just don't want nobody to think I'm going anywhere.
Okay, let's be fair. It can be a quote.
No, absolutely.
It can be, what is it that you want to leave behind as your legacy?
Yeah, I kind of already said it, but it is this notion of the art, because people think, but I did everything I needed to do to get the job, but I didn't get the job. Because a lot of times it's not about the technical skill. We lose more people here at Young because of their culture fit or not, than we lose because of their talent and their technical skills. It is about the culture. It is about relationships. It is about trust. And for many of us, it's a natural, the way we're raised, we have a natural barrier. You don't share your business. Don't get people, they don't need to know all that, right? But those are the very things that create trust. That vulnerability creates trust. When we're not vulnerable, people feel like we're holding something back. And once again, a wise man said, when that happens, your brain, actually, if you don't trust somebody, and our brains, we go after this thing called confirmation bias. We assess people, and we are assessed in the first 7 seconds by somebody who doesn't know us. Based upon that assessment, our brains start to work to confirm our assessment. Right? So what I want to be known for is this notion of the art. Because if we nail the art, I think we will actually achieve more things in our lives and in our futures that we thought were unreachable. Because now we've got the secret. The secret is not I can do the work. The secret is, do I have art?
Fantastic.
No, well said, brother, and somewhat similar, parallel to that, but slightly different angle, right? So for me, it's really about, I have to think about all that trials and tribulations and a lot of things I've endured over the time I've been working professionally. All that has culminated into being, one of those black Cecils, right? So I say that way that there aren't that many of us black CISOs with Fortune 500 companies. And we meet monthly, every Thursday. It's the third Thursday of every month. And I think I'm not missing this one, right? So, but there's a group of us to make sure that we all rise and make it together. And so the big thing I want to demonstrate what my legacy is that I've been able to come and rise up through the ranks, become, a CISO for a Fortune 500 company, and have done that job well. It's meaning there's no breach. Nothing like that happens on my watch when I'm here. If I can do that successfully and check out the game, I'm good. I'm good.
Well, thank you both. Wow. You left a lot out there for us. For those people who are definitely looking towards the C-suite, and even if you're not, if you are looking towards your next career move,
Amen.
I think there's an opportunity here for you to take something with you and to use it, plant it, grow it, and prosper with it. So thank you all for coming. We'll be around. Please make sure you meet and greet our panelists if you haven't already. And thank you. Have a great night.
Now, before they go, of course, we have that recognition culture, but I'm gonna let Ms. Camille go first.
I want to thank our panelists, okay, Elias, James, okay. That has been some very powerful, thought-provoking conversations, a lot to put in our toolbox, and like you said, a lot to take away with. So once again, I want to thank you for your time and sharing your journey to the C-suite. The association, we have some gifts for you just to have from your time and your talent. Thank you so much.
Facilities, we got our camera people. Make sure that you talk to Jermaine back there, our vendor, before you leave on the way out too. We still have some food back there too, for those that didn't get in or want some other on that. So, you got a raffle ticket whenever you came in. Also, you should have gotten a coupon for a meal from KFC. If you didn't, make sure that you see myself or Arista. Arista has those. Everybody can get those. You don't have to have your ticket for those. So we want to make sure that you eat at the brink. And so we're going to raffle off a few others. We have some Taco Bell gift cards and some pizza gift cards. I'll let you choose. All right, so I'm going to move this swiftly so that you still have some more time to network here. Let's see. 257045. Hey! Come on down. 044. Wow. In order?
I got a big shot of
We have no 044? 052.
044 word.
052. Come on, Zero 46. 046. All right. 018. Somebody got here a little early. 047. 047. All right. 049. All right, let's see. 02525, the last three numbers. Zero 48.
Oh, okay.
Zero 4.
It does. Look at that.
One more, 022, 022. Thank you. All right, again, we thank everyone for coming out. Thank you we could not have done this without you. We could not have done it without our wonderful panel. We appreciate everything that you do, all the nuggets that you laid out. We hope that this was beneficial for you on behalf of the National Black MBA chapter. And Young, thank you. Have a good evening.
And please make sure you go visit our talent acquisition team.
Yes.
We would love to have you.
If I don't have your card or your resume, my card's on the table back there, the talent team is back there, food is back there, ladies back there. Thank you.